Hello. Today I wanted to talk about change and why it can be so hard for people to change even though they may think that they want to. In short, a big reason could be because you're scared of it. You're scared of who you will be if you don't have that thing anymore. In terms of how it relates to manifestation, as I like to talk about that on my channel, is that when you first get into the idea of, oh, I can have anything I want, as long as I keep on thinking it, as long as, there aren't many opposing thoughts about it, as long as I allow for the possibility of that to exist in my life, when you first encounter that, especially when I first encountered it, I had a lot of opposing thoughts about it. I was like, no, there's no way this is right. There is no way that I can just think and things will be fine, right? And there's no way that, even if it were a thing, can I really do it? What if I can't do this? I see so many people's success stories and such, but maybe I just can't do it. That was something that I used to think a lot. And I realized that a big reason as to why I kept myself in that loop and why I was so scared of change and actually trusting myself is because it became a part of my identity. Because I was scared of who I would be without that insecurity. I was scared of who I would be without questioning if I'm doing things right, constantly wondering if I was actually capable of doing things, and just having that lack of trust in myself. I was scared of who I would be if I actually trusted myself. No matter how much I wanted to change, no matter how much I wanted to create a better life for myself, because I was so stuck in that state of, or so familiar with the state of, no, this isn't possible for me. There's no way that this can work for me. There's so many reasons as to why not, and blah, 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 making a bunch of excuses for myself. Because I was so familiar with that for so long, it became part of my identity. And so if I wanted to change, let's say in this case, my mindset about manifestation, then that isn't only changing one thing. Because once you become so familiar with something, once something becomes part of your identity, that gradually attaches itself to other things in your life that also impacts, what you're seeing and your identity and you as a person. And so, because I was so attached to the idea of, or not even the idea, I was just so in a state of just lacking self-trust and self-confidence. Whenever I thought about, no, I can actually change my reality. Let me work on, actually affirming for the things that I want. Let me work on living my dream life and getting what I want and such. When I started working on that, automatically a lot of doubts popped up, being I can't do this because I've never been able to do this before, and it was just trying to drag me back into that state of I do not trust myself. I never trusted myself, and so there's no way that I can do something like this if I don't have trust in myself. That was a big part of my identity without me even realizing it. And so when you're changing one thing, you're not actually changing just that one thing. You're changing a bunch of things associated with it. Because if I actually had trust in myself, if I became a person who had trust in myself at that time, then my world, for how I know it, for how I see it and what I'm living, it would crumble as it is. And as someone who actually does have trust in myself now, I could say that was very true. Because I completely shed the old version of me. I completely shed the old insecure version of me. The version of me who always doubted myself. The version of me who was always thinking the worst case scenarios. The version of me who was always highly anxious about literally nothing. Because of the fact that I started to grow that self-trust in myself. I started to change my identity into someone who actually trust myself, as someone who actually has faith in myself and is confident in my own abilities. And so because I started doing that, the old version of me who was really insecure, who had so much anxiety, and I didn't even realize that that became part of my identity, that completely went away, and I stepped into my new identity of me being the version of me who I always wanted to be, the me who actually trusts myself and has confidence in myself. But the hardest part about that was actually letting go of the old version of me, was actually trying to trust myself, was actually making sure that I am living how I wanted to live, and developing that self-trust, developing that like shift in myself, that identity change. That is the most, I guess, obvious example for myself of how change can, the fear of change, the fear of the unknown, of who you will be without that part of you anymore, without that trauma, without that anxiety, without that depression. I'm saying all these because that was what I was afraid of before I became this version of myself. As much as I wanted to live my dream life, as much as I wanted to actually be able to live confidently and happily, and I was trying to change this, change that, I never tackled the core problem of me being scared to actually change, because I did not know who I would be without those things, without the trauma, without the anxiety, without the depression, etc. And that goes for a lot of people with like multiple different things in their aspects, in their life, like aspects of their life. For instance, if you identify as someone who is always unlucky with relationships, who always gets ghosted, who never gets to experience the things they want, even though you want to change that, even though you do try your best to change that, are you actually ready to change it? Does your mind have some sort of resistance against the change? Are you actually scared? Like, let's say if you're someone who identified with always like having bad luck in relationships, or like, oh no, relationships just aren't meant for me, but you want to be in a relationship, are you scared of who you are going to be if you were to be someone who actually deserves relationships, who identifies as someone who you always get the best relationships? As much as you want to work towards that goal, as much as you're trying to work towards that goal, if you don't let the version of yourself that identified with, no, like I like bad things always happen to me, like I never am lucky with relationships, if you're too afraid to let that go, then it's gonna be much harder for you to live in a new story of, oh no, like I always have the best relationships and good things always happen to me. You might be scared because it's like, oh yeah, past evidence showed this, and so therefore I can't do this because of past evidence. But the thing is, if you're the one who creates your reality, if everything that you see in your physical world stemmed from your thoughts and your dominant thought patterns at that time, then you can change it. You can change it and make it into something that you want to experience. Why are you letting the past dictate your present self? Why are you letting the past dictate your future? Do you want to be stuck in the past forever? Do you want to never change? Do you want to stay stuck in that cycle of miserableness? Because if not, then work towards letting that identity go. Work towards letting that identity that you no longer want, the identity that is no longer serving you, work towards letting that go. Because once you do that, it's going to be much easier for you to actually get the things you want and, see the things that you want to see and experience in your reality. We have resistance to change because it's what's familiar to us. We have resistance to us because it becomes part of our identity. We're scared of not being that anymore. We're scared of what would happen if we let it go because it's unfamiliar to us. It's unfamiliar to our bodies. It's unfamiliar to our minds. However, it is needed. If you're sick of living the way that you're living right now, if you're sick of experiencing the things that you don't want to see, then change it. You have the power to change it. And if your first reaction to that was, no, I can't change it because of this, well, work on that. Work on why your first reaction to it was, no, I can't because. Because whatever you dominantly assume, whatever your first reaction is to things, whatever you keep on thinking is what you're going to see. And so if you're automatically going to deny the possibility of allowing the possibility of having good things happen to you and actually being able to live your dream life, then that's what you're going to see. Because whatever you keep on thinking, your world's going to confirm that. Whatever you keep on thinking, whatever your dominant thought patterns are, is what you're going to see. And so change is scary, but it's really worth it. After all, an unfamiliar heaven is better than a familiar hell, or however that saying goes. I'm not really too sure. But yeah, so if you want to live your dream life, if you want to start living the life that you actually want, have trust in yourself. Build that trust up in yourself. Find what the root causes are for your limiting beliefs. Find what it is that's keeping you stuck in this negative cycle. And then once you get clear on that, seeing what you actually want to see and manifesting the experiences that you want to see will become much easier. So identify with the version of self that you want to be and the experiences that you want to live. It might be hard at first. Your mind might be screaming at you because of how scary it can be, because of how unfamiliar it is, but trust me, it's really worth it. So if you want to change something in your life and you don't want to keep seeing the things that you're seeing, but it seems like, oh, it's so hard and such, think about the answers to the question of why are you so afraid of change? What are you afraid of losing if you were to change? Is losing that thing going to help you, or is it going to keep you back from living your dream life? And if we were to put this in manifestation terms, I mainly am just talking about like what state you're identifying with, the version of you that you are identifying with. That's what I mainly mean by change. If you're the version of you who already has everything that you want, who has the SP that you want, who has the money, who has the, I don't know, grades, whatever, how would you be thinking? How would you dominantly be thinking? Would it be what it is right now? If not, then why? Why are you doing that to yourself? Because of rumination? Because you're scared? Because it's entertainment? Whatever the reason is, if it doesn't align with the version of you that you want to be, just stop it. Is the easy answer. But you can work on it by, keeping affirming like, oh no, like I always get what I want. I have the life that I want. I am living my best life, etc. If you're unsure of something, if you're wanting to change something, if you want to get into a different state and version of yourself, then affirm for that version of yourself. Whatever you keep on telling your mind will eventually become your dominant thought patterns, as long as you don't have many opposing thoughts about it. Because, dominant thought patterns means that's what you're thinking most of the time. And I think you guys get it. And so yeah, don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of changing from the version of you who doesn't have the things that you want to the version of you who does have the things you want. Because in the end, no matter how scary it is right now, it's going to be so worth it. And I can absolutely promise you that. Bye bye.